Welcome to UNIDEV. Thanks for coming to our speaker series tonight. But this fine gentleman next to me is Justin Miller, is our quality customer assurance specialist here. The title goes even longer, but it's too long to remember. Basically, he handles all of our user testing, and every single thing that we produce here goes through Justin first. We would never launch a website without his eyes on it a million times, send an email blast without him looking at it a million times. So what he does is so incredibly crucial. And so he's going to share why and how and all that.
Customer support specialist. It is quite a title. There's a lot to that, and I think those two things go hand in hand. Some may think that maybe quality assurance is more of a department where you have testing only, and you're going through your A/B tests, you're going through user testing, you're going through some SEO and e-blast, that type of thing. But I think it relates really well to customer service because you get both sides of things. You really get to focus on what the customer wants and needs, and you can adjust your testing based on that type of thing too, and also help the client understand what we need to test for. With Back to the Basics Quality Assurance 2014 speaker series, we're going to go, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my personal background. Because I'm not a tech genius, I work for a tech company. And as most of you know, if you are in the technological world, it's ever changing. You learn something new every single day. There's not a day where I'm not asking questions to learn whether it be code or a new program or software or device that's out there. So I'm going to give you a little bit of personal background about how I got into the development world. Employment. These are some of the things that I've done in my lifetime. I've been a sandwich maker, Panera Bread. I've been a residential painter, landscaping, contractor, teller, personal banker for several different banks. With the exception of data entry, if all you guys can see this, what do all of those things have in common besides the last one, of course, which is my current title?
Dealing with customers.
Exactly.
Just one question.
Sure.
Is that all?
Is that all? Yeah. Teller and personal banker are really kind of two separate ones. They kind of condense it a little bit.
Right, to keep it on the one slide.
But that's exactly right. It's all about dealing with customers. So that's where my 11 plus years of customer support comes from. It's really understanding what different scenarios people are in their lives, in their businesses, and in their social life as well. So with all these different things, how does that correlate into HTML and quality assurance and making sure things look good in the tech website world? This is a site that maybe 2-3 of you may know about in this room. It was called STL Punk. This is the first social media type platform that I was ever on. And I will save you this high school embarrassing drama filled poetry here, but this was a place for local bands to interact with one another, interact with their fans, and you could do all sorts of things like vote on your favorite band, and it was really the first time I remember, besides pirating music, that I was actually connecting with the internet and could understand kind of what the internet was about. I joined a band when I was 18. I dropped out of college. I was like, I'm going to make it as a rock star. That was my dream. And I actually pursued that dream for 5 years. It was one of the best times of my life. With these bands, I learned it was a struggle. Every time I had to get a new job on that list, I had to talk about being a musician. And to most people, being a musician is about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? It's a lot more than that. There's marketing involved, there's website development, there's interacting customer service, customer support, there's bettering your product in not only a musical background type of way, but really listening to your fans and seeing what they want and then making a product that can do so. STL Punk, this type of stuff was just your basic WYSIWYG. You typed in some stuff and you could do it like Word, and you threw it on there, and there it was. You have these little icons that do little things like, oh, I'm an environmental, I like the outdoors, and I like singing and stuff like that. This went away really quickly once MySpace came along. I tried to find the most annoying MySpace page ever.
That's not yours, is it, Justin?
It was, yeah. MySpace came around, the old MySpace, where you could change your background. Whoa! You could change it to anything to make it more personalized, and these things, you know, if you wanted to kind of like a hip way, it'd be like messages with a Z and things like that. I was like, that's amazing. I didn't know that was even possible. And it kind of gave me a whole new aspect of how the internet worked. You could add more things. You could add blog entries. I didn't know what a blog was until MySpace came around. So this was another platform that took it a step further. And you actually had to go in with all this weird background stuff and put in HTML. And gibberish to me at the time. Then, lastly came Facebook. And from a band's perspective, it was awful. Facebook really killed the personalization of what a band was trying to accomplish. And really, it was interacting with the fans. Especially for local bands, the fans that you have are everything that you have. And the reason I bring these types of things up, with Facebook, you couldn't do any of the HTML stuff at the time that I knew of anyway. You just kind of threw some pictures up, interacted with fans by typing generic comments, and that was it. But I bring this stuff up because in the bands, in the teller work, in sandwich making, well, not sandwich making per se, but almost every job that I've been in, I've learned something that has brought me to where I am today in quality assurance. And these are some attributes that I've learned through these jobs, and I think can help you and help hiring people that would be good at quality assurance, and then what things they can look for. So you have to be open-minded. When I was in bands, I played for a country band where I would hang out with 40-year-old women who would tell me that their daughters are the best thing for me. I played in another band where I was talking to 14-year-old girls and telling them like how high school and all her friends love me and they want to marry me someday. I met people that $20 is nothing to go to a show. I met people that a little town in Hardy, Arkansas has, I don't even remember, really low, like 200 people in that entire place. They would save up 3 or 4 weeks to save up enough money for their family to buy t-shirts and to buy CDs and to buy posters, get autographs and pictures. Completely diversified my perspective on people in general. Everybody comes from so many different backgrounds. And that really helped me with the customer support, and it also helped me with high attention to detail. I had to learn how to communicate with somebody who maybe didn't graduate college or didn't graduate high school, maybe people who live in a wealthier neighborhood and kind of have a uppity type personality, and you know, all sorts of different personalities, especially with the banking as well. You know, dealing with people and their money and their food are the worst two things in the world to deal with, because people will get mad about it very quickly. So high attention to detail, because ultimately finding mistakes on a site, fixing them, making them so people don't see them, are what you're trying to do as a quality assurance specialist. Problem solving. This is something I had to develop here at UNIDEV. I started off and I was a tester. I clicked links. I made sure that they were going to where they said they were going. I didn't know that some links were supposed to open in new windows. I clicked links, I made sure nothing looked screwy or weird, and that's about it. It took me 3 years through basically everybody here at UNIDEV, walking around and learning from them. And that's one thing I really like about us at UNIDEV, is we're very open-minded to somebody who may not know as much as the next person, you know, and they will take 5-10 minutes out of their day to really explore and teach someone for the betterment of the company. And through that, through 3 years of over 200 websites and applications and e-blasts that I've gone through, I've learned where things are, what problems clients have most, how we can fix them, and that's part of the process as well here. We've changed our processes 5 or 6 times since I've been here, just trying to find a good way to serve our clients the best. Able to learn quickly. I remember having one training where I had an hour before the training actually started with the client for somebody to teach me a brand new CMS that I've never looked at before in my life. It was awful. The training went well because I dealt with 3 or 4 different CMS platforms in the past, and eventually you kind of learn that everything kind of works the same way, they're just found in different places. We need to be able to learn quickly if you're going to be in this kind of field. The ability to adapt to change. Obviously, that's what the tech thing. Technology is ever changing. It will always change. You need to be able to change, and you should encourage change, because you're never going to do things the same way. Ever. Every 6 months, we're doing something different. Different way, whether it be a certain process or the way we test things, or clients we're dealing with. We're doing a lot of e-commerce now, but we weren't doing that 6 months ago to the extent that we are now. Something my boss hates, I ask questions. I always ask questions. Always ask questions. Hypothetical questions are just as good. You know, a lot of times through different sites, you know, I'll see a mock-up and I'll be like, this link, this button here doesn't make sense. Why is it there? Well, the client wanted it. But why do they want it there? What's the logic behind it? And understanding the client and their mentality of why they want a certain thing somewhere is extremely helpful. The more you learn from different clients in different scenarios, the better you are to help future clients in their problems. One I really had to work at, taking no for an answer. Because sometimes somebody just doesn't have the time to tell me why not. But this goes both ways. As a developer, as a front-end developer, as a marketer, a SEO analyst, any kind of job that you have here, you cannot be easily offended. I had to learn that this link is broken sounds kind of condescending, and I didn't think that this was somebody who spent 40 hours that week putting this site together, and I'm sitting there and just going, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Communication is everything. And being a quality assurance specialist, I need to have great communication, and I'll show you some tools later on here in this thing to help me better communicate with my coworkers so that they could do a great job. Now I'm kind of turning it over to you. Quality assurance means something, but I want to know what you guys think it is. What is quality assurance? What is quality? The word quality, what does quality mean? Anybody? If something is of quality, what does that mean?
It meets the customer's expectations.
Okay. Even if it doesn't meet the business's expectations?
Making sure the end result is what you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's a metric that you measure yourself against.
Webster's dictionary defines, this is very basic, how good or bad something is. A characteristic or feature that someone's or something has a high level of value or excellence. I found a better definition that Wikipedia had for businesses in particular. Perceptual, conditional, and somewhat subjective attribute that may be understood differently by different people. And this is absolutely true. What I, as a quality assurance specialist, I am nitpicky as all. I will sit there and I will stare at something, and if it's a pixel off, I go crazy. I'm a little OCD, I guess, in that sort of sense. And whether they get fixed or not will have different reasons, but I personally may see, like the example I used before, a link was, or this button doesn't make sense. Well, why doesn't it make sense? I may find that to be not of very good quality. Somebody else, that makes perfect sense. That is exactly what we want. I find this to be a quality product. So what I'm going to do here in a bit, I'm going to go through a couple different websites, and we're going to kind of collaborate and kind of talk about the quality of them and what's good about them, what's bad about them, what things they could change. This is definitely supposed to be interactive. I want you guys brainstorming and thinking about things. Nothing here that I am talking about today, most of you, if not all of you, already know. I used to know what the capital of North Dakota was, and it's probably good information to know, but if you ask me right now, I don't know. It's a reminder, it's a refresher course to help you be aware of it. You know, this is something that is ever changing, something that is needed all the time. It never stops. Quality never stops. Quality assurance, testing. Some tools that I use personally with websites that I test. Jing. Jing's any screenshot reader. I personally like Jing. It's very easily, you can throw up some arrows and write in some quick notes, and that reverts back to the communication with your fellow coworkers. If I find bugs that are text is shifting into a picture or something, I need to point that out. If I just send a screenshot of an entire web page, they shouldn't have to do any work to find the bug that I'm talking about with my screenshot. So Jing is a good, easy tool to have to really narrow it down and help the developer or front-end developer, designer, find something quickly and be able to fix it. Spell link checkers. Don't take these to heart too much, but they're a good kind of quick tool to use. I use a spell checker on almost every page I visit. It comes back with errors for legitimate words. It's not going to check content and the value of that content or grammar. It's going to find quick things that are just completely misspelled. If Monday had a Z in it, it will find it. Something quick and easy to do before you dive in deeper and really pay attention to what the content has to say. Link checkers do the same thing. It won't tell you whether that link is actually going to the place it needs to go, but it will check to see whether it's a valid link, whether it's broken or not. Firebug is the one I use, which most of you, I'm sure, have probably heard. It's a Mozilla Firefox extension. Developers, front-end developers, I think everybody in this office uses Firebug at one point or another. I use it for the inspect tool. I use it a lot for images. I can tell really quickly by pointing and clicking on an image whether that image is linked, if it's linked to where it needs to be. If it opens in a new window, it basically shows me the code, and I'm able to tell if it has alt text for SEO, all the information I need to know about that specific element. So if something doesn't look right, I can check it really quick, and then I can also turn that around and give more specific examples to my front-end developer or to my designer. This is what I found, this is exactly what I found. Not, hey, this doesn't work right. That doesn't help anybody. Part of being quality assurance is really finding what the root of the problem is. And then again, if nobody knows the answer, problem solving. Why slow is another one that we use. I'll show you an example in just a second. Flash, everybody knows not to use Flash, right? You can in some instances, but especially with people with older computers and slower connections, it's going to slow down the site a lot. Same with high quality images that are huge, they're going to slow down. I mean, the time that people spend on the internet nowadays is like milliseconds, 5 seconds. If something doesn't grab your attention right away, they're gone. And if it takes your page 10 seconds to even load, you've just lost that customer. So why slow? What that does is it reads basically it reads the speed of things, and it'll actually tell you how many JavaScripts you're using on a certain page. It'll tell you how many images or tags that are duplicating, and a lot of different code related type things there.
It'll say too if you're caught in a loop or the page is, perpetually loading as well, and those things aren't too. So.
Absolutely. Screaming Frog is an SEO tool that basically checks your site for quality SEO based on Google and Bing and Yahoo and all them, and mainly Google because that's the one we use here for Google Analytics and stuff. But it'll tell you for 404 errors and keywords and duplicate pages with duplicate content, and I think there's a link online that'll allow you for basically a trial version. You get to check up to 500 links, I believe, or 500 URLs. Is that right, Sonia?
Yes.
Yeah. But there's also a pay one as well. Schema. How many of you guys know about Schema?
It's
The
okay to
JavaScript?
admit it, you're in a safe place. Hey Justin, what's Schema?
The JavaScript? The JavaScript library, JS library, schema?
I don't
I
know.
mean, schema.org.
Schema.org.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
So schema.org, if you've seen Google searches, and we'll show you some here in just a bit, and you see on the right-hand side, there's an image of that particular business. If you're looking for a place to eat, something close by, it'll show their address and an image and maybe a link for the menu, and then they have several links for their menu, their contact, their photos, galleries of that. All that is controlled through Schema. And that's stuff that you want to put on your addresses, your phone numbers. That's all stuff that Google, Bing, Yahoo look for, and that'll increase your rankings as far as Google's concerned.
So that is like a complete library, a schema for different things you can look at.
Yeah.
Different. Tell them about the DIR project, the ADA compliance component that goes with schema too. You were very involved.
Yeah, have you guys ever
Is it
used?
comply with being an idiot?
Sorry?
Did you say idiot compliance?
Yeah.
ADA.
It sounded like you said idiot compliance.
That would be.
I was like,
I might have.
I'm in compliance. Just proved it right
I need
there,
a
didn't
glass of wine to slow down from the coffee.
There you go.
But go ahead.
How many of you guys have ever used a screen reader before, or know what it is?
I know what it is, I've never used it.
Is it difficult to use?
No.
It's a pain. So imagine if you are blind or deaf and you use a screen reader and you go to a page that has a logo and you get to an image and all it says is image. Every single image just goes image here, image here, image here. Well, what are the images of? That's why alt tags and images are very important. ADA compliance, it'll get to that specific image. It'll tell you if there's a URL attached to it. It'll tell you a little description of what that image is of. There's special keystrokes. They're a pain, and anything that we can do to help not only keywords and stuff for Google and rankings, but to help those impaired, is a great thing that make their trip.
You are, again, vision impaired, and they're reading to you the menu all over again, and all the things. I mean, so you can tell it through the schema. You can skip from section to section. In other words, you can do it in such a manner that it becomes available and valid for a lot of different users.
We're going to look at some sites now, and we're going to talk about quality of them, and kind of I'll walk you through what I do whenever I test a website. Here's the first one. Title of this URL is Rich and Associates. What do you guys think that these guys do? No idea. To me, it kind of sounds like a law firm, right? Or is it
Even though they say
firm?
hospitality, advertising, marketing, production.
You
Never
are-
would have thought that.
Exactly. The URL alone says richandassociates.com. And here you have hospitality address. Here's the navigation.
Oh, I didn't.
Not
know that was
only
navigation.
is the site really tiny, these 3 C's, 4 C's up here are the creative capabilities, clients, and contact. This is the navigation. This is how you navigate through the site.
It looks like design, though. It doesn't even look like navigation.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
I thought it was typos.
So this is correct.
So here's contacts and clients that they have. Capable one here. Robertsonrestoration.com.
That's classic.
Website.
Thoughts about this one?
It was very good tag.
back.
never updated ever again. And they found the shadow feature. They found shadows and borders.
To quality workmanship beyond customer expectations.
You're still paying to have this live, even if they're on this.
See, really, they're a front for a company that's really an ophthalmologist.
Maybe.
Or their money laundering.
Not to mention if they marketplace.
But a lot of these things right now that we're looking at, let's go back to this homepage, let's look at one of these bad boys. It's a little bit better, but
Oh, no.
obviously nobody looked at this.
I have some sort of migraine.
But there's a lot of things to consider with this, you know. If some of these, this text clear and easy to read. Is content free from spelling, grammatical, factual errors? I don't know. Images, like, there's just images are bad. I'm gonna inspect this. I'm just gonna take a second to see if this even has stuff on here. So it does have an alt tag. They did something right. Image width. But I want to bring up a good point about this. I'm glad they do have alt tags. I don't know because I don't know enough about SEO. But maybe this company's version of quality is being high in the rankings and have good SEO. And I don't know if the design obviously looks like crap, but maybe it's really high on the SEO rankings. Is it? No. I don't
Yes,
know.
no. How did you guys find these?
Ooh.
Wow.
This one's not as bad as the other two. It's an e-commerce site. It sells shoes made out of, where are they?
Alligator.
Crocodile.
Alligator, crocodile, ostrich, lizard, stingray, and pony.
That's a new one on me.
So this is an e-commerce site. What makes this good or bad? I can point out one bad thing, the color.
Color.
Well,
Obviously, of the visual
you
text.
don't know where to look because you're being drawn in so many different directions.
Sure.
Where's this located? I wonder if there's a cultural.
These are all a carousel that you can stop and click on and you can actually go to the product. Yeah, their social icons up here, they're a little blurry.
Yeah,
What?
likes.
Right.
Well, they don't like that. Okay, all right. What makes this good or bad?
Seems more organized.
Organization?
You know what they do. You know what they are right away. Because even if the URL is King and Prince, there's a description right at the very top. It's easy to see.
Your senses are not assaulted.
Keeps your interest with the rotating banner and the reviews on top.
I'm ready to go.
In a minute.
Or call outs and say, this is what we want you to do, this is why you're here. All of this other stuff here, this is just secondary. This is informational if you want to do a little more research. But they have a lot of call outs here that really hone to what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. So from a quality perspective, we're looking at organization, we're looking at consistency, we're looking at professionalism. Those are my motto words, professionalism and consistency. Even to the point where email can be spelled 3 different ways. Capital E dash mail, lowercase e dash mail, and then email as all one word. And it's perfectly acceptable in all 3 versions. If you do it one way, for your entire site, do it the
Yeah.
exact same way. It's little stuff like that I notice because I'm nitpicky. Most people probably won't care. But if you have too many of these tiny little things, it can really add up and lose. It's not huge. Especially these days where everything is mobile. Everybody's checking websites via mobile. and you have to sit there, and if you have a long site with a lot of different content, you're sitting there, you're scrolling, you're scrolling, you're scrolling, you're scrolling, you're scrolling. It loses my attention. I know it does lose attention of a lot of clients as well. They don't want to have to scroll. They want the here and now America. They want, give me what I want, big, pretty things, visual, that I can click on and I know what I'm getting when I get to it.
I'd be curious to know if this company has a mobile-specific site or responsive design, or how they
They do
because
not
this you would not want to display on mobile.
Yeah, this, you do not, they're not responsive, but they do have a mobile-friendly site
Okay.
for exactly that reason. And it's very simplified as well. They have, like, on my phone, I think 7 or 8 buttons on it, and it's basic information. It's contact us, learn more about reservations. Click here to go to registrations. They do have a view desktop link, so
Yeah.
you can, if you need
Yeah.
to find out more information.
How do they handle the banner?
I believe it's Josh.
No, I mean on mobile,
Right.
on mobile.
Oh, they don't.
Okay.
They're not. Let me pull it up here real quick. If I wanted to look for, to see what it's like, I know that I can look it up on my desktop, or I know that hopefully they have some sort of view desktop version. A lot of browsers on your phones now have an option to just view the desktop all the time, and that's typically what I click, but that's just a version. 6 months in advance, I don't know anything about them. I don't know, unless I've heard the company before. But I don't know what they're about, I don't know what they do, I don't know what their website looks like until the final 2 weeks or we're almost ready to launch. That's when I get it. All the content has been placed, and I take a look at it for the first time. Going along with all the jobs that I've had, I've really learned a lot about the world and what people want, especially in the customer service industry, where you learn needs and wants of what people are looking for. And I use that to my advantage. So if I go on a site like this, every time I go on the site, I love this site because I want to go on vacation there, because I see them. And I know that all of these call-outs, the online reservations, it's 1 or 2 clicks, and I'm in booking already. I don't have to navigate 9 times to get somewhere to what I want to accomplish. And they do a really good job about that. I'll go through some of the, every room type, every building, every beach builder, they have a few details, and book now. And they do a really good job of really driving what they're trying to do with this website. Yeah, that's to get people to go fly at sea. Quality assurance isn't just me. Quality assurance is it contains quality. More what I do is quality control, but I have influence with quality assurance. The difference is quality control is more testing. Quality assurance assures that the project from the get-go is going according to plan. It's following the steps it needs to be successful, and then it finishes and goes live, and the client's happy overall, based on what the requirements were. I have a little say in that right now. I would like more, but that's not for me to decide right now. But I make the most of it. With user testing, I like finding things that nobody else can find. I go to a site, and if I don't find that many bugs, I'm worried, honestly, because I feel like I've missed something. I want to try to break this site. I want to find a broken link. I want to see that this arrow is 3 pixels further down than this one, and it's not consistent. That's what I'm trying to do. And generally, when you're testing your own website, you know the information. You know everything about it. You know what the content is. For the most part, you know. One thing we do some law firms, accounting firms, and some of them, they like to have their lawyers and their accountants write their own bios. And I strongly go against that. Because you're going to get 6 different opinions from 6 different styles of writing from 6 different completely different people. And it's not going to follow the overall look and feel of your site. That's another little nitpicky thing though. But we had to rebuild the whole site, and it's a lot of work. There's a lot of content, and that all has to be clicked through and looked at. And it's a little easier with kind of migrating sites because you have something to compare to. When you have an original mock-up for a brand new project, so much can change from when that mock-up was first created and when the site actually goes live. And to bring up your point, I don't know those things.
This is why in QAA, or test often, test early. That is the mantra of what we do.
And we have a whole process with bug tracking where, developers, they get together, front-end developers as well, whoever's assigned to that particular project, they do their work, then they go and they double-check their work, and then they have somebody else look at it. And we go through these processes. I'm really the last everything should look ideally perfect before I get to it, because I'm the one who's trying to bring it. But my point with quality, I mean, it's whether it's 5 pixels or 3 pixels, that's probably talked about. But I know in a lot of projects that we've had in the middle of the project, somebody will change it like this for ring credit, and they want to change it to something else. So much can change within us. I've had calls with somebody after I've trained them, and they're a day from launching, say they don't like the functionality of how something works, and they want to change it before it goes live. I mean, anything can change at any time because that person at that time, that person's vision of what this quality website will look like has changed. And again, it's all about change. And what is right, what is wrong. There is no right or wrong. It's, well, the client is right. The customers going to the site are right. What's going to be attractive? It's, like I said, it's ever changing. It's continue to build a relationship, really long-term relationships with a lot of our clients for years and years and years. And some of them never change. Some of them have the same site that we started off with 5 years ago. Some of them want to change every year, every 2 years. We generally recommend 2 or 3 years switch around, but for design and response to the new technologies that are out. But again, it's what you can afford as a company. It's time to build websites. Things go out without somebody looking at it, without somebody thinking outside the box, not just, okay, what is there? I can hire a 14-year-old kid to click on some buttons and see if they work or not. But really, it's thinking outside the box, seeing what makes sense based on what the client wants, who their customers are, what they want. And you don't just your own website, then friends and family and people who kind of understand at least a little bit about the company for where they can give a valid opinion on that as well. It's really about being aware that testing is never ending, as Ian pointed out. It's always happening. Links, visuals, SEO, all of it, all the time. And again, these are some questions here. Is there a fair balance between content and ads? Are the ads clearly distinguishable from content? These are just basic questions that you can find in Google. Search them up. Like, what should I be looking for on the and the things that are pretty obvious, but it's, again, easily forgettable. Really Google that, find those types of things, and help that expand your mind and really look at the overall picture of a website and what it has to offer before you go in. It's not just the development, not necessarily just the functionality, but it could be the design, it could be rankings.
Good job, Justin.